Looks like we've got the live streaming, excuse me, and the recording going here. I have 6:01, so maybe we'll give it just another minute or so. And oh, there she is. She just popped in. So.
Are we ready?
We are whenever you are, Chair.
Okay. All right. Welcome everyone to the July 7th Urban Renewal Commission meeting. May we please have the roll call?
Commissioner Frank O'Donnell.
Here.
Commissioner Rocky Smith.
Here.
Commissioner Adam Morrow.
Here.
Commissioner Doug Mealy. Oh, you're on mute, Doug.
Here.
Commissioner Sean Cross.
Here.
Commissioner Rachel L. Smith.
Here.
And Chair Denise McGriff.
Present. So do we have any citizen comments for items that are not on the agenda this evening?
We do. We have one, and I'm just allowing Betty Mum to join us in the Zoom. It looks like she's logged in. I'm going to give her a minute here to connect her audio.
Okay, and this is for an item that is not currently on the agenda.
That's correct. So Betty, when you get logged in there, if you can unmute yourself, and we're ready for your citizen comment whenever you are.
Okay, am I unmuted?
Yes, you are.
Yes,
All
you
right,
are.
Betty Mum, Oregon City. At the Urban Renewal Budget Committee meeting, you elected Commissioner McGriff to the position of chair. But as far as I know, there's not been an election to chair at the regular Urban Renewal Commission. Traditionally, the chair is elected at both meetings in two separate actions. And with the citizens, some citizens having issues with urban renewal and suing the city, this may be used against you and the city. I just wanted you to be aware, and it may not matter. The other thing I wanted to say was, I know that you're going to discuss the urban renewal project list, but have you considered an urban renewal commission retreat like the city commissioners do? Take a few hours out of your day. I know it's another meeting, but I think it would be helpful for you and staff to set some goals and prioritize and move forward. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Ms. Riggs, for the record, I believe that we did hold an election for chair of the Urban Renewal Commission, which
Okay.
I was elected. And then we had a separate meeting where we had the Urban Renewal Budget Committee, which we also held a vote and an election for chair at that time. And I believe.
Okay. I just didn't see that. And with urban renewal being such a hot topic with some people, I just wanted to make sure. That's all.
Yep, we did. We're on track. Thank you.
Oh, good. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Is there anyone else?
There is no one else for citizen comment. Thank you.
All righty. Well, we have an exciting, jam-packed agenda tonight, and I know that you're all anxious to jump into item number one. Well, maybe you're not all anxious to jump into it. At least let's say I'm excited to jump into it. So I would like to turn the item number one, Urban Renewal District Draft Vision Statement and Framework for Decision-Making, over to our staff, Mr. Conkle and Mr. Graham.
Thank you. So I'll go ahead and let James take the lead on the presentation tonight.
Thank you, Mr. City Manager. Good evening, members of the Urban Renewal Commission. Staff was asked to submit a draft document to help spur discussion regarding a vision for urban renewal. And of course, this is simply a draft for discussion. You very well may accept it, you very well may not, but it's simply a discussion piece. As you can see, the document starts with an introduction, and the reason for that introduction is designed to provide context leading to the vision statement and the rest of the document. So as you know, in 1990, the Urban Renewal Commission amended the Urban Renewal Plan of 1983, removing the downtown area from the plan and adding projects and renaming the 1983 plan the Hilltop Plan. In 2004, a report named Oregon City Futures was prepared that described a strategy to assist Oregon City in implementing its Metro 2040 designation. In 2005, the Hilltop Urban Renewal District was closed. In 2017, a new plan was named the Downtown Oregon City North End Urban Renewal Plan, and that was developed, the plan. As you know, urban renewal is Oregon City is one of 7 regional centers designated in the Metro Region 2040 growth concept, which covers the entire Tri-County area of Clackamas, Monmouth, and Washington counties. The vision statement, as you see it, and as all vision statements do, describe what we could achieve in the future if we were successful in attaining all our goals and objectives. So within this vision statement, it states that physical investments in programming within the Urban Renewal District will result in creating an environment of livability, establishing opportunities that support the safe and healthy recreation, generating investments that provide rates of return on investment, broadens the tax base, provides a quality of life for all residents of Oregon City. The cornerstone goals of this vision statement are livability, recreational opportunities, and return on investment. It is suggested in the framework for decision-making that there are 3 components: a due diligence team, and also it requires information and data from investors so that projects can be evaluated properly. And it also calls for a but-for test. But for investment in urban renewal, the project would not occur. There are various forms of financing in the urban renewal program: general obligation bonds, pay-as-you-go TIF, loans, grants. Those are several ways to do projects. No project, of course, is the same. And it also highlights the disposition, a DDA, a disposition agreement, development and disposition agreement. And that agreement certainly dictates how the project is to proceed. It dictates the terms and conditions of whatever the financing arrangements are or happen to be in that deal. So with all that said, I will stop there and turn it back over to the city manager.
So,
There you go.
Chair, I guess at this point, we'd be happy to answer any questions, or, if the Renewal Commission would like to start discussion around working through the document. Well, I think we're open to helping facilitate the best way to move forward around the document. I think the introduction is probably pretty straightforward and self-explanatory. What we heard quite a bit about was the vision component and what that spells out as to what we're trying to achieve in the district, which will then help with identification of projects as well as investment And if we can get through that, then we start to talk about the project evaluation process that's been proposed moving forward. But
So, commissioners, what's your pleasure? Do you want to go through it page by page, or do you want to start with a specific page? If you want to change it, amend it, leave it as it is, how would you like to approach this? Mr. Smith? By the way, welcome home.
Who says I'm home?
Well, wherever you are, welcome back. Nice to see your face.
I'm part way home.
That's okay. Thank you for checking in tonight.
Okay, so I appreciate, the idea of having something to work from, seeing this in front of us, but I also am not sure that it hits on what I really have a concern about. And I think Betty Mom brought up an important point about a retreat. I don't know that just a meeting is going to do this. I don't know that just 1 or 2 meetings is going to get us to where we need to be. And I'm worried that this, I'm not saying that what's in this vision is not good and is not something that we need to consider, but I also feel that it's lacking in that it kind of specifies, the basic guidelines of what we want to do, but it really doesn't give us a vision. It really doesn't talk about what the ultimate plan is for this area. And what I mean by that is, it touches on, these 3 components: livability, the recreation opportunities, which I believe should be recreation and tourism opportunities, not just recreation. And then the income producing, or the return on the investment. In pretty much every conversation we've had with the public about goals and the 2040 and all these other things about what people love about Oregon City, it's its uniqueness, it's its history, it's its identity, and this livability piece. So we have to balance that with the other things that we know about the city, which is Oregon City is one of the very few places in the Portland metro area that has a huge amount of land to develop. And we also have some massive projects on the horizon. The Willamette Falls Legacy Project, River Walk. We have the possibility of a national heritage area coming into place in the future. We have the Cove area, and we have the landfill area. Now, what people have been concerned about in balancing all of these things in the past in terms of the public is, how do we weigh the livability issue with this ideal that Oregon City is going to be a focal point for tourism? And the clear thing right now is that we do not have the infrastructure for tourism in Oregon City. We do not have the hotels. We do not have the parking. We do not have the transportation. We do not have just some of the basic visitor amenities that people need. And so the question is, in terms of restrooms and parks, those different kinds of things. So if we know that Oregon City is on the tourism horizon because of all these projects, and we know that the majority of the places in Oregon City that are undeveloped are on the downtown, it makes us really have to think about what we want built on those areas. Do we want housing built on the only place that we have the ability to bring in tourism? And remember, if we go back, the entire past visions of the end of the Oregon Trail Interpretive Center plan, it was envisioning this idea that if people come off the freeway, they need to be able to park somewhere, and they need to be able to get into these areas that we want to be profitable, which is the Willamette Falls project, the River Walk, and the Cove area, and the landfill site. These people coming into Oregon City are going to have to come in a way that keeps Oregon City livable. And that means we don't want parking, crammed in the McLaughlin neighborhood. We don't want tour buses going up Washington Street. We want to be able to think about how this city works when people come into the town. They come in off the freeway, they come into that area of Washington Street. Is there parking there? Is there amenities there, hotels there? Is there amenities of restaurants? Is there amenities of transportation that they can park their car at that site on Washington Street and be able to go into the downtown and be able to go to the Willamette Falls project? Is there a way that we can actually finally utilize the things that we've spent a fortune on, like the train station, where we, currently have very few people, using the train station. We don't promote it, but the train station is a place where we could be bringing people in. They could be getting shuttle buses into downtown and to these sites that we have. We have not planned this. We have not visioned this. And if we start, just randomly throwing bullet points on a piece of paper and we don't really think about our overall vision, I'm worried that we are going to miss the boat here. And I've said this before, but this is going to be something that I think we need multiple meetings. We need to really come up with, here's all the properties, and we've asked for that. We know what all of the properties we own. What is, it going to take for us to make sure that we are, being responsible with public money in terms of the livability issue, making sure that the assets that we need for tourism are in a place that is realistic, that actually enhances the downtown, not actually competes with it, and that it all ties together. And so when developments come and developers come to the Cove, and when developers come to the landfill site, that we actually ask that question: how do you think that this ties in? I would be really irritated if we as a Urban Renewal Commission just write, checks to projects without really thinking about how that ties in. If we're going to have a development on the landfill site and it involves a parking garage, then how much of that is public parking, and how do those people get into downtown from that development on that site? How do they get from the mill site to the hotel? How do they get from the train station to these sites? I mean, and that involves trails, and involves maybe a shuttle, it involves all these things, and definitely parking. So I think that we can add some of these elements to this vision, but I don't want to minimize the importance of a real dialogue about the general consensus of what this group feels is best for the city as a whole, and that those projects really tie to that. And it's not just, oh, well, at least we're building something, so I guess that's fine. We can't do that anymore.
We already kind of did that.
Well, it's a mistake.
Well, no, we've acknowledged that was not the way to go. So
this piece of paper right now isn't there yet. Then, I mean, we gotta make sure that this spells that out.
Doug?
Yeah, I'm going to agree with Rocky on this. This is a list of things that would be eligible, and some of the pieces are pieces that we're interested in, but it does not create the broad vision. And I think, I think Rocky did a great job of putting that forward. And I think this has to be a major discussion point. And I agree with him that the point Betty made is a legitimate one. This can't be done in an hour segments, or in my opinion, a 1.5 or 2 hour segment. It has to be part of a retreat piece where we can collect these concepts together. I don't regard this as a vision document.
Rachel?
Yeah, so, part of it sounds like, Kevin, we're struggling with whether or not we want to work on this in multiple meetings versus having a retreat. So you're not really liking the format in which we're trying to work on this. So, if everybody's in general agreement that we're going to block off some time on a Saturday or something like that, or on some other evening, and you're willing to block off hours of time, I'm fine with that. If we're not going to do that, we got to start somewhere. I think this document is a good start. I have a bunch of notes on it, so I'm happy to start walking through it. I do agree with what Rocky was saying. It doesn't really lay out any kind of not in enough detail of visioning for the district. And I think one of my suggestions in our executive meeting was that we break the district up and like have some maps. Because I think there's logically some areas within our current district that you can easily break into components and then highlight on those maps where our properties are and kind of have that conversation about, hey, what do we think about this area? And then let's move to the next one. What do we think about this area? I think that's the conversation that we probably need to have to get down a little bit deeper. I also think we could benefit from the OC 2040 work that's going on, even if it's in draft form. I think they've done a lot of work, and maybe there's some pieces from that OC 2040 work that we could bring in to help get us started, because we definitely want to be in alignment with our comprehensive plan. And they've done a lot of community outreach, right? They've asked the community a lot about what they think about the city and the future of the city. So I think there's a lot of value there and stuff that we could pull from that to use in our conversations. So with all that said, I think there's more work to do. I'm happy to provide feedback on each one of these sections. I'm happy to start on page 2 with the vision section, or maybe tonight we just talk about these goals. If we kind of generally think that 3 goals are kind of the right buckets, we could talk about maybe some of the things that we think are missing. I don't know that we want to wordsmith, but maybe just really quickly, I could provide a list of some things for particularly the livability goal.
Okay, well, let's
kind of a general summary, but
I like that direction. What I want to do is give Sean and Adam and Frank an opportunity if they have general comments, and then I have the same thing. I have notes on mine as well, and but I wanted to give people an opportunity just to comment generally before we get into deep diving, because I'm ready to deep dive, but I want to give everybody the opportunity to make a general comment if they have one. Frank, you're unmuted. Do you want to go next?
Sure. I'll simply say that I agree with Commissioner Rocky Smith and Doug. I do view this document as not a vision document. And I do agree with I actually view it more as an operational framework. And I think in that respect, it's actually quite good. And it needs a few amendments, in my humble opinion, but the meat of the matter is there. And I think there's just some refinements that would make it even stronger. I certainly agree with the previous comments about let's not do this development piecemeal. Let's have a total vision and a total package so that the pieces fit together. And like each of my other commissioners and yourself, I've got a marked up copy with very specific things. I would say, I don't know what the source of this document is, but as a starting point, it's actually quite good. And I don't know if we obtained it elsewhere or constructed it of our own, but it's a very good discussion starter. And I think we can go a long way, but it is, again, an operational document, not a vision statement. Thanks.
Thank you. Sean or Adam?
I agree with everyone. I think we need to look at it as a whole, the vision. That's kind of what I was expecting when I got this. And I thought like, oh, I've seen a lot of this before. So I went back to the 2007 Urban Renewal Plan. And it's like, so you start on page 4 of that plan, you can kind of see the goals and the objectives, and they kind of line up. They're wordsmithed a little different, but they're already there. But yeah, I kind of agree about the vision part.
Adam?
Yeah, thank you, Chair McGriff. I agree, and I would be supportive of a retreat, especially if we're able to do that in person and not be in front of screens for such a long amount of time.
Well, I would concur with that. So when I get done, we'll take a consensus to see whether we want to have a retreat, because I would support that. I don't disagree with anything anybody said. I think this is a very good start. I added another goal, which was called tourism opportunities. And I took some of the things out of the income producing investments and stuck it over there, and then started to add more. So I think we have more than one framework. And again, they're not in any order. So I just added it at the end. What I also was looking at was I took the goals that we have. So I have 4, and I took just a map that I already have. Sort of kind of started putting the properties in kind of columns underneath these goals to see which ones had the best fit. So, I mean, just again, I was just playing, kind of doing a little bingo, putting one here, putting one there to say, okay, I think this property would fit under this category. Some of the properties fit under more than one category, and I just kind of lined them up. So again, I just was playing around with it as an exercise just to see how that would line up. But I think the other thing is that we had, that you will get this a little later, but our consultants got some other documents that they wanted us to look at, but it came too late and I didn't want to have them, submitted for this meeting because we would have gotten them about 2 hours before the meeting, and we all know how we feel about that. But some other urban renewal plans that have vision statements in them that we could take a look at. Again, we're not trying to reinvent the wheel. We're trying to find something that fits what we want. And I think it would be helpful too to look at the 4 broad categories that the 2040 plan is condensed down to. So I'm sitting on that group, and that's kind of what I had in mind when I was looking at these. So that's kind of my comments. So do we have a consensus that we want to try to fit in maybe a 2-hour session where we just deep dive into this? I'm not saying when, I'm just saying, do we have a general consensus? If you just raise your physical hand, that way we can get the staff. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm looking for your hands, Mr. O'Donnell, not the yellow one.
I guess I'm concerned about saying a 2-hour.
Well, I just threw that out. I'm not confined.
Yeah, no, otherwise, yes.
I'm talking generality. So looks like I have the consensus of everyone, and we will work with. I'll snag Mara Lyle Smith and have her work with me and our executive team, Mr. Cross, with Mr. Conkle, Mr. Graham, to come up with time that we can do this. So Rachel, do you want to just start taking a dive right now, and then people have comments on the same page, we can go there?
Sure.
I mean, I have some too, but I'm going to defer to all of you before I throw in all my stuff. So
Yeah, so I was going to start on, I think it's page 2, where it says vision. I actually think those are goals. That's not a vision statement. So I would change that heading to be goals, and then we can work at our retreat to come out with what our vision statement is. The main bullet that I didn't really care for was the 3rd one about generating investments that provides rates of return on investments. I think we want positive rates of return on investments. And I think that's where we should put a comment about the region for Oregon City and the region. And I think the last bullet about providing a good quality of life, that one should be for our residents of Oregon City, and then remove the region. I'm not trying to improve the quality of life for everybody in the region. That's kind of, I just feel like the regional part should be around economic return and investment and tourism and stuff. I don't know, that's kind of
yeah, I put that bullet first, and then I had all the other ones underneath it.
Okay.
Anybody have anything on that before we move on? Yes, no? Okay, move it on. Anything else on page 2?
Well, page 2 starts the livability goal.
Yeah, starts the livability at the very bottom, the livability goal.
I guess, I mean, I can start.
Yeah, go right ahead.
I struggled with the text just focusing on single family houses along the river. I found that whole paragraph just odd to me. I mean, sure, I could make that statement in one sentence. I don't feel like that's really capturing livability. So I think when we're talking about livability and we're thinking about the entire downtown area, if we're talking about housing, I think there needs to be a statement about housing in downtown, multimodal transportation options, transit and parking in downtown is included as livability. Our transit center needs upgrades. We got the rail. So there's just all kinds of things to me that is improving the livability and use of our that whole downtown, well, this whole district. And then I think there's also, I know we have recreation as another goal. I think we could still mention, you know, shoreline use for recreation and water commercial activities. And so anyway, that I'll just stop. Those were just
That's what I put.
ideas. Yeah,
I moved the stuff about the river over into recreational opportunities because I think we've talked about the cove. And I know some of you know that one of my biggest disappointments about the cove was that we were going to get this great park, which was going to be an amenity as a perk for the development. And then it got dropped out for whatever, you know, I'm not going to beat a dead horse. But I think that is something that we want to encourage and support as part of a future development, is that we want to have an amenity down there that not only serves the residents, but serves everyone. But we also don't want buildings right down to the river, because I think the shoreline, like our beaches, should be reserved for the public, not with development that blocks it off. So
yeah, so I felt like this goal kind of fell short more than any of the other write-ups in the other areas, just on livability. There's just so many more things that and there's more to this district than just the shoreline and Clackamas Cove. So this whole goal, I feel like, needs some work, and hopefully I've provided some things to think about.
sorry, like 4 police cars just went screaming down my street. Doug?
Yeah, I agree with what she's saying, but I think the recreational aspect should also be tied to the river access and bike access. And while it's not part of the urban renewal district, at least at this point, the river walk, that is the ability for pedestrians, bike riders, and so forth to access the cove all the way through the downtown area and into what was formerly the Blue Heron site.
Well, we can simply say access our river frontage, which cowers everything.
That's right.
It's not, we're not picking, we're saying river access. We got the Clackamas, we've got the Willamette, so we could say, yeah. Frank, did you have anything on this page?
Well, if we're talking about recreational opportunities,
We're still on page, page 2.
no, I'll join in on page 3 with recreational opportunities.
Adam, Sean, anything on page 2? All right, so we've got some of the livability stuff still at the top of page 3, which talks about the shoreline, which again, I changed my mind and put all that down under the next one. So Frank, do you want to lead off on this one with recreational opportunities?
Well, the only thing I struggle with this is it seems like it lays the groundwork for for-profit businesses, and it doesn't put in any caveats. I mean, I'm all for-profit businesses being allowed to operate, providing the conditions allow. And specifically, I think about the water quality in the cove. And I'm not prepared to do any rental things there until such time as we resolve the water quality. And I think the first step in that is testing that tidal flow theory of cleansing the cove by doing some dredging. So I don't have a lot of argument with this, but I think that's something that we would consider, but not necessarily, but has to be tempered by the conditions that we're experiencing.
Rocky, Adam, or Sean?
I just want to have tourism in there somewhere. I don't know how that fits in, but it could be part of the recreational piece.
I made it a separate goal.
Yeah, that's fine.
Be a separate one.
We need to make sure that's part of it.
Yeah. The only comments I had on this, and again, you know, I do want you to know that I've looked at this several times and I added things every time. So I didn't take out, but I sort of downplayed, you know, what Frank said, businesses such as kayaking and paddling, you know, I would just make it more generic and not get super specific, just say recreational opportunity, for-profit recreational opportunities will be considered. I don't want to be specific about, you know, it's this, or this. Then I added in that anything on the shoreline that would involve upland redevelopment needs to include some sort of public amenities. And I said park amenities or paths along the river as part of a future development project. I think that's real key. So, I mean, we give something and we get something. It's kind of, I'm looking at it as a balancing situation. And then I also had some of this, it's funny, I don't know, maybe we were on the same wavelength while you were on vacation, Rocky, but I had more time to think about this, and I wrote in the margin under recreation, I said, discussion about infrastructure to support tourism, supportive facilities, and also making sure that there are job requirements. I just put a question mark. So anything else on that one? So we might need to do a little more finessing on that particular one, and we probably will have some more. Do you have anything on number recreational opportunities, Mr. O'Donnell?
Well, just on, again, on the recreational opportunities, the water-based recreational opportunities, they need to be conditional upon, water conditions allow them, and we have the supporting facilities to support them. And we just went through a little exercise.
That's an excellent sentence. So you have water-based recreational opportunities.
Provided water conditions support them.
Yeah, would be subject to environmental conditions or something to that effect.
I wasn't specific. I just wanted the water conditions to support them, and that we had the supporting facilities. For example, we talked about what size ships can dock at our docks. That we need to resolve yet and firm that up.
Yeah, okay, and supportive facilities, yeah. To the benefit of the public, not exclusive use of private.
No, public.
Yeah. Support. I'll write down a note, supportive public facilities.
You might want to include boat ramp in there.
Well, would a boat ramp be a supportive public facility?
Yeah.
Yep, I agree.
Yeah, I think so. For recreational activities, certainly.
And we all know there's boat ramps issues right now down there that we haven't circled back on. That's going to come back up. So
yes, the illustrious boat ramp.
Yeah.
Let's move down to the income producing and work on the tourism one, because I agree with. I think Brad Rocky agrees with it should be its own separate thing. It shouldn't be combined with anything else. But there can be references on the other goals to that, because as you say, it's sort of like the icing on the cake. So the only thing I had under goal income producing properties was that I really am supportive of, I'm not sure what livable wages are, but the term of art, I believe, is family wage jobs. And I was looking that up. And I think the other thing I had a concern about was we were talking about, so the third sentence is including restaurants, state-of-the-art, small convention, business meeting spaces, boutique hotel, and arts and entertainment venue. My only concern about getting that specific there is those businesses are not high wage job generators. And I think any development that we support has to have a jobs component in it. I feel really strongly about that. We required this on every project we did at PDC because we were trying to show that not only was it generating tax increment and bringing back to the community, but that it was generating jobs. And we had a specific timeline. You had to keep those jobs for a certain period of time, kind of similar to what we did with our storefront. You had to keep your storefront in good condition for 5 years, and then we would take a look at it again. I think it's critical that when we talk about jobs, they're not the minimum wage jobs, which of course just went up to $14 an hour, but you can't live on that. And as you know from the media, there are jobs begging to be filled. They're not filling them. So teenagers are not taking those jobs at McDonald's or whatever, like, we've been told in the past, oh, these are just for teenagers. So I'm concerned that we need job generating investment as well as something else. And then the restaurant state of the art might be going under more of the tourism category, because I don't really see those as being I don't see those as being family wage job generators. And I thought, how should we require the number of jobs? I think under income producing, it should be manufacturing, computer software, whatever is the next big thing that's coming. I don't know what it is yet, but that would produce family wage jobs. That's what I think we're looking for in addition to the properties producing income. So that's just what I wrote in my notes. I see your hand.
I agree with your approach to that. I think this is a pretty narrow focus. I'd like to see some larger entities, not strictly what's here, but other things like I'd love to see an employer of 100, 125 people here. The only other thing I'd say is I see in the final paragraph, it shall be the goal of the Urban Renewal Commission to prioritize. I almost would like to put in there prioritize competing projects, because I think at times we're going to be faced with multiple potential projects, and it might be which do you fund and which do you wait for. So that's the only thing I would add there: prioritize competing projects and support investments. The rest of it looks pretty good to me.
And Rachel.
Yeah, so first, providing a list like that is too narrow. I think if we're going to be pointing to lists, I think we have to look at our zoning. I mean, this area is already zoned as already has a list of items that are allowable uses in these areas. So, at a starting point, I think we just need to start there. I think for our own properties that Urban Renewal owns, we can certainly be more detailed and
Sure.
But otherwise, I just think that sentence is heading down a rabbit hole that we don't want to go down. I think it needs to be much broader.
That's why I suggested we remove it.
I agree.
Yeah, so I would say, for James who's taking notes, we should be looking at our zoning and what the allowable uses are. That's kind of an easy way.
It gets us out of trouble too.
Yeah, right. But regarding the jobs and wages, I'm not sure that we want to say that everything that goes in this area has to pay a living wage. I don't, if you've just knocked out retail, you've just knocked out a bunch of shopping. I mean, if you're expecting everything that goes in there to pay professional level wages, you're not gonna get stuff that goes in there. I don't know that you get anything. So I think that sentence needs to come out, and I agree with you on the jobs. It should be that our goal is that we're providing jobs of variable wages, and I think as soon as we start dictating a certain level of wage, we've just essentially again been way too narrow, because I think there's retail shops, there's shopping, there's all kinds of things that don't pay professional wages that can help people afford a house. I mean, I think that conversation belongs in our economic development and our and our industrial zones and Beaver Creek employment areas where we're talking about. I mean, to me, that's where that conversation belongs.
Well, we required a percentage. We didn't say all of the jobs had to be, because we did support things like, I'm sure you've heard of them, it's called Chef's Table. It's a collective of people who start restaurants. So we know kind of what restaurant folks generally make, but it was averaged out. So not every job had to be, twice minimum wage, but there was an average that should generate multiple types of incomes, but not what I was saying in that sentence, that all of those don't seem to be high job generators. They're the $14, $15 an hour type jobs.
And saying a boutique hotel is super narrow. I mean, in that, I'm like, I just want hospitality options. It could be a whole variety of different housing options, and you leave it broad by saying hospitality.
Yeah, it could be broader. I agree. That's why I wrote broader. Katie, you have your hand up.
I do, but I was going to let Adam go first. I just wanted to mention that we do have a citizen comment for this item, and I know that it is 6:45 and that we're probably not going to be able to finish this evening. So I didn't know at one point if the chair wishes to hear from that citizen comment before the meeting is over. Thank you.
Let me go to Adam, and then I will ask the commission what their pleasure is.
Thank you, Chair. I would agree with what the mayor said about wages. And then the other thing at the beginning of the income producing investment goal, in the first paragraph, city investments and projects should be fiscally conservative and equitable throughout the city. I think the equitable throughout the city part could potentially be confusing to people because it's not going to be equitable throughout the city. It's going to be in the district.
Right.
Hopefully it will be enjoyed equitably, but I think that can be a little confusing to folks.
I think he meant equitably throughout the district. I don't think he meant throughout the city, because obviously urban renewal only exists in a certain area. Okay, so I added Rachel's comment about a range of incomes. But again, we should be getting whatever jobs we get, we should be getting some jobs. We should not let people off the hook to not provide jobs, whatever the range is going to be. I guess I'll drop back to the request do you want to hear from this person? We've gone through citizen comments for items that are not on the commission agenda, and we generally have or have not, but I am open to whatever it is that you all want to do.
I think if we got somebody who wants to make a comment, they should make a comment.
Okay.
I agree.
Okay, everybody says yes. Okay. Where would you like that? Would you like it now or at the end?
Well,
At the end?
well, I
But
would
now,
Do it
No.
now. We're at
Okay.
the end. We need to do it.
Okay, all right, Katie, do we know who it is?
Yeah, it's Nick Vorosky, and he's
Oh, okay, well,
currently on
I see his
Yeah.
name down there, and I thought, okay, wasn't sure he was there, so.
Yeah, Nick, if you could please unmute yourself and go ahead and begin by stating your first and last name and city of residency for the record, and then your 3 minutes will begin.
Okay, thank you very much. My name is Nick Vorosky. My address is 3870 Northwest Banff Drive, Portland, Oregon. That's in an unincorporated area of Washington County. I'm not in the city of Portland. I've been a property owner in downtown Oregon City since 2006. I've submitted written comments to Katie, so I'm just, I'll just kind of read through this here. But, I've read your draft document titled the Urban Renewal District, a Vision for the Future and a Framework for Making Investment Decisions. In my opinion, I think this document is well done and shows good diligence and a good decision-making approach for investing in urban renewal funds available to the city under its 1990 Urban Renewal Plan as amended for the city's remaining urban renewal districts. I believe this document shows that the Urban Renewal Commission has exercised wise judgment within the powers and authority delegated to you by Oregon statutes governing urban renewal agencies, the bylaws of the Urban Renewal Commission, and by the citizens of Oregon City who elected you. ORS 457.075 provides that when an urban renewal agency finds that there no longer exists a need for an urban renewal within a district, that district may be terminated. Currently, there exists a great need to cure blighted property, i.e. the underperforming and environmentally compromised Rossman landfill in particular. Soon, Summit Development will come to you with a proposal for urban renewal funding that will allow an estimated $300 million investment that will not occur but for the assistance of urban renewal funding. In other words, their development of the landfill will not occur without the assistance of the funding provided by you. Once that funding is provided and their development completed, the path to terminate the urban renewal district should be open. Ultimately, I think that is what you all wish to have happen. In the process, by applying the goals put forth in your vision statement and the criteria stated in your decision framework, you will have accomplished the following. Allowed the creation over 500 housing units, statistically over 1,000 new customers for downtown Oregon City businesses just a few minutes away from downtown. Helped remove some pressure of a severe housing crisis that is driving rents and prices to extreme levels and contributing to the exploding, severely rent-burdened population. You will have funded the cure of environmental contamination of waters and aquifers under the landfill and provided for the management of methane gas created in the landfill. You will have increased the property tax base for the landfill alone from $30,000 a year to over $5 million a year for the first year after completion of construction. You will have created an economic engine of jobs and spending power where none exists presently. Overall, when all improvements are in, you will have created a 12.75% return on investment of UR funding. If you issue urban renewal bonds, you will create an 8.3% return on your investment after debt service.
Mr. Borowski, I hate to interrupt you, but we still have a few other items we have to discuss tonight. And you said you submitted this?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, that is fantastic. I certainly appreciate, obviously I have not seen if you submitted it today, I've not seen it because I was doing other things before this meeting, also prepping, but we will take a look at that. And I appreciate your time. Thank you for commenting on our document. We're not really taking up the other topic that you are bringing up at this point in time, but it's much appreciated.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you. Which property do you own downtown? I know I said, wait a minute, I recognize your name because I'm on the downtown board.
It's the Harding building on the 500 block.
Oh, okay.
And we've done a tremendous amount of refurbishment of that, tremendous amount of renovation and upgrade since buying it, and resulted in a couple destination retail tenants down there, Mary Rose Northwest Boutique and the Vintage Nest.
Yeah. I was just there yesterday, visiting them.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, they do too. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, we just have a few more minutes and we have 2 sets of minutes from June 1st and June 2nd that we need to review and approve. If you've already done that, I would appreciate a motion.
I move to approve.
Both June 1st.
Yes.
And 2nd. Okay, is there a second?
Well, second.
Seconded by Commissioner Smith. Katie, can you do the roll?
Yes, Commissioner Rocky Smith,
Aye.
Commissioner Frank O'Donnell,
Aye.
Commissioner Sean Cross,
Yes.
Commissioner Rachel Lyle Smith,
Aye.
Commissioner Doug Neely,
Aye.
Commissioner Adam Marl,
Yes.
and Chair McGriff.
Yes.
Motion
So-
passes.
Yes, both minutes are approved, and thank you for your thoroughness on those. I reviewed them and I said, wow, she got everything. Okay, so where we have left off with this is we've gotten through pages 1 through 3, and I'm sure there are other comments that are coming up on pages 4, 5, 6, and 7. And when shall we meet again?
I think we have clear direction that the commission would like to hold a retreat. So we'll go back and begin the process of finding dates and times that are available.
May I make a suggestion? Since we started this process of going through these items at a regular meeting, let's go ahead and finish those pages, and it might give good input going into the retreat.
So do we want to, let me look at the calendar. Do we want to try to meet again in
Weeks.
in 2 weeks?
Sure.
Or next week? We have a work session on the 13th. How jammed is it?
Yeah, this isn't going to fit on the 13th.
Okay, well, I mean, beforehand.
It's not an option.
Okay, all right. What about the 21st?
That's the regular Urban Renewal Commission meeting, but we're limited to the 1 hour again. So I guess I was thinking that I was going to try to find an alternative date. We can certainly, you know, it was our intent to bring this back after the direction from the last meeting.
Right.
So
What about, can people meet on the 20th?
I think
I'm just
I think
so-
it might be, I think this might be easier if we were able to regroup tomorrow morning and send out emails with times and availability.
Yeah.
Considering other commission meetings and advisory committee meetings that are existing. So we'll start backward with when we have facilities available and then see when folks are available.
You mean we don't have priority? We can't kick other people out of our meeting first?
Did we lose her?
Yeah, she's frozen in time.
Frozen. Oh, there she is.
Yeah. All right. Being no further business, we are adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you.